Okay.
Right on set. Hello and welcome to Critique Corner with Mike Hawk. I'm your host, Mike Hawk. Tonight we've got to take a look at a few films tonight. The first one is going to be Lockdown, and we're going to be looking at Justin's death scene, so let's check it out.
Well, thanks for having me on the show tonight,
Of course.
Mike Hawk. It's really nice finally being on a show where people respect what I say. Because, I am an esteemed film critic, so, I know what I'm talking about, unlike these two goons. I mean, we got a PhD and a doctor. I don't really know why they're here. I mean, they don't really know what they're doing, but... So we saw... Okay. Okay, so we're going to start today with Group 5, Period 2's clip. It's a scene where Justin, also known as the Ogre, dies. It's a really tragic death, if you ask me, because, you see in the movie the suspense and everything building up to this, and you hear the music going a little bit, and I really like that. I like hearing the music, and you can tell that something's going to happen. And then when he actually gets slain, it was horrible. I don't know about you, Mike Cock. Yeah, so this scene was very spooky. It was an overall 10 out of 10 spook meter. I'm surprised it even got passed by the Miss Kramer Association of Movies, because it was just very spooky, very adult. I don't know how we were able to watch it, but we're off to Mr. Wessel here on his opinion on it.
In my opinion, the beginning of the death scene where the girl takes the blunt object that is put up against the pole, I think that's shot beautifully. I love the camera angle that they used, as well as the soundtrack of the menacing music in the background. When the victim is killed by the girl, he lets out a shout, but it's really unclear as to whether he actually was afraid. It could have benefited from a reshoot, because that acting was just not there. I like how the stabbing scene is shot. It was a very good camera angle, but the actor doesn't seem like they actually stabbed him. She didn't seem too into it,
I mean, I disagree with you on that, but you can keep...
Well, yeah. And then as the girl was walking away, there's a little bit of discontinuity. It cut straight from her stabbing him to her already 20 feet away.
No, I like that. Can we move on to Mr. Barkdull?
Yes, direction. I didn't find the scene very spooky or very shocking. I felt like the camera angles there didn't really give it that scene where I felt into it. And also, I felt like the Foley track was really missing there. You heard the little whoop, but it didn't correlate with when the ogre was hit. So I think the scene, the camera angles and the Foley track were missing to a potential good scene.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah,
All right.
the sus of dis was not there.
Yeah. Some great points by our panelists. Thank you, guys. I think all I have to say is love the film. The direction could have been a little better for me. So yeah, I think the direction could have been just a tad bit better there. There seemed to be a bit of a miscommunication there. I would have loved to see that be a little more clear. All in all, though, good film. We're actually going to check out our next film, and this was submitted by two California kids out in sunny Pleasanton, California. It's a home video, and it's titled Russian Hitman. Now, this one, it's a little interesting, so let's check it out.
I love you, Mike Hawk.
Oh, hi, Jesse.
Yeah, so I believe that the creators of Ben's Toes and Natalie is Hot got the same score on their indie as these people did. And I'm not really sure how that happened. Ben, can you remember what the score was?
I believe it was a 35 out of 50.
I mean, that's not fair. We'll touch on that later, but I heard it was because the windows weren't washed. But yeah, that's a different story. Well, one thing I didn't like about this is that they tried to edit in their audio for their talking scenes, but they didn't match at all. You could see on the screen that the actor says one word, but instead you hear 20 different words, and you're like, how did that happen? What went wrong? I just don't get it. And then sometimes throughout the movie they change clothes randomly throughout scenes, which also makes no sense. And so, the development wasn't there. I thought this was horrible, absolutely terrible movie, 0 out of 10. On to you, Wessel.
I would agree with you that the sound in that scene, absolutely atrocious.
horrible.
One of the worst editing jobs I have ever seen in my entire life.
One of the worst indies I've ever seen.
As a doctor, you know, you see a lot of bad editing, but that was just, you know, terrible.
I would agree.
However,
Yeah, can we touch on some positives?
However, you know, the juxtaposition of the camera to start off the scene, that was okay. I really like the over-the-shoulder shot. I think it's a very powerful tool.
And the
that
close-ups
directors can
too.
use.
I like to see the close-ups.
Close-ups and money shots.
But
you
there
know.
weren't many of this, so I was kind of let down.
Like I said, the editing was absolutely atrocious.
Well, that's
right?
filming. No, that's
However, there was
coverage.
Yeah.
The coverage is important.
Excuse me.
Hey, I'm the only
Guys,
qualified one.
hey,
Come on.
panelists.
Excuse me.
Guys, come on.
Okay. All right.
Continue.
All right. So also.
Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Also, the acting was pretty bad. It's supposed to be a serious movie. The actor's smiling, and I just couldn't get past that. I couldn't get the overall tone of the
You're a hitman.
overall tone of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a hitman, and
crying out
he's
loud.
like having a good time. You know, hitmen don't have good times.
No.
Their life is just killing people, and that's it.
Well, unless they're at a strip club, but that's a different story.
Yeah, that's a totally different story. But you know,
Another
what?
movie.
That's
Different
that's-
movie, different time.
That's all I have to say.
I-
Chase, can we get a little
I mean, I would
info
just
from you?
reiterate what my colleagues say. I would say the audio was atrocious. I think they could have used a microphone on the scene, so it's like you could easily match it up. But I mean, you could even tell the words weren't lining up with the kid's mouth when they had the angle shooting at his head, like at the back of his head. So I think the concept was great. The dialogue actually wasn't bad, but it just didn't match up and just ruined the whole scene for me. So I would give them 4 out of 10.
If I can just add something, my intake is just the suspension of disbelief was just not there.
Yeah, sus of dis.
In
The
any
actors changed clothes so many times that I
Yeah,
could
you
not
can't.
get into it.
You're not into the movie.
There was
if I
so
may,
much
if I may,
discontinuity.
Yeah, you may.
watching the film, you know, you want to get engaged, and I really tried, but I just couldn't. I was not convinced that I was, you know, listening in on a conversation between the two Russian guys. I saw two, you know, high school students just
Smile.
trying and putting in a subpar effort. So I didn't love it, but I mean, then again, they went out, they made a video, and that's something that we respect here. Now we're gonna move on to the next film. It's called Motivation. I won't give any spoilers here, so let's just watch the clip.
Well, as you just saw in the clip from 5th period, Motivation, it's a clip about a kid that wants to excel, and so he tries really hard, and they have a montage scene. And I really like this montage scene. They got a lot of really good coverage angles. The audio is pretty good. I like the song they added. It was fun. It got me into it. I just want to go over reiterate how good the amount of coverage shots they got, because unlike Russian Hitman, this group had a lot of different angles to choose from so that they could choose the best one per se. But I mean, I will say the main antagonist in the movie, he was a pretty spooky character. I was a little spooked by him, but other than that, I thought the movie was pretty good. I was surprised. On to you, Mr. Wessel, Dr. Wessel.
You know, for this workout montage that these guys included, I loved all the props that they used, you know. The table, very clever. The push-ups, that was awesome. Especially the scene where the camera's like this, you know, and he's doing the push-ups. That was pretty cool.
I like that one a lot, for sure.
The camera angle, which set up where the characters were when they were standing on the track, you know, just the toes,
Right.
and the
Oh,
track
yeah,
line.
yeah, yeah. That was
that
a good
was
shot.
that was awesome. I loved that. Probably the best amateur work I've ever seen. You know.
Probably still got a 35.
Yeah, probably. I was thoroughly confused though when the bad guy actor came up and breathed in the other dude's face.
You want to give me an example?
It was
was. Wow, that was pretty
weird.
spooky.
A little weird.
You spooked me so
See,
much
it
into a
just-
laugh.
I didn't get that.
Right.
I didn't get that.
Clarity. Clarity is key in,
Yeah.
in any film.
That
was
drew
thoroughly
me away from the
confused.
sus of dis.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thoroughly confused, and to be honest, a little freaked out. And, that's all I had.
Thank
You
you.
heard it here first. Anthony was freaked out because of that guy.
I mean, I really liked the montage scene. I thought it was well thought out, well planned. I think the music was a good choice, but I would say some of like the workouts, I almost was like it was like too close. Like you were almost just like in his face, and it's like, what is he actually doing? Like, is he actually doing a push-up, or is it like a push-up with something else? So I felt like they could have maybe taken a step back and gotten the full scene, you know, to get that full effect. And I think it could have used maybe a couple more workouts, a little longer, to really emphasize
I think
that.
it was the perfect amount of time.
Really? I don't
They used
know.
the perfect amount of workouts.
I felt like he could have used a little more to get that full effect that he truly needed to train to beat this kid that did the weird breathing on him. I mean, okay, that scene was just like was he hawking up a loogie?
Can you give
I
one
don't
more
know.
example of Anthony this time?
Like, I don't know what was going on. Hawking up a loogie, I'm not sure. A little weird. That could use some editing.
Well, looks like we're almost out of time here. I just want to add one thing about that film. I loved it. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was a fun little scene.
Fun. It was very fun.
You could tell the actors were enjoying it. The director had fun with it. It's just it's that kind of film that's a little unorthodox, but it comes around and you're like, you know what? That was just solid. So just my little opinion
And you
there.
saw it was a new day, new vanilla.
If I can just thank my panelists, Dr. Chase Barkdull, PhD Anthony Wessel, and movie critic from Critique's Corner with Mike Hawk. I'm Mike Hawk. Good night.